Okay.
We accept it. Okay. If you know my story, then you know this topic is very meaningful to me. So why this topic? I'm a special educator and a special education consultant for the last 17 years. I have experience working in Jamaica and the United States as an educator, and knowing the instructional approaches that have been effective in education, especially within the K through 12 space in the United States. I know those approaches, but not as it relates to higher education. As a special education consultant, most of my parents, past and present, are often concerned with what's next for their students. And a common question I often get asked is whether their students can navigate a traditional four-year college, given their different ability. It is with this in mind, I wanted to kind of embark on this study to find out how college instructors, who are major players in the process, I might add, cater to the differences that they're faced with within a 21st century higher education classroom. Hence, the reason for this study. Without further ado, I will get right into it. The introduction. This chapter will provide background information on the study's purpose and significance and explore the research questions and the theoretical framework. It will conclude by identifying the study's key terms, the limitations, as well as delimitations. The populations of students pursuing higher education is increasingly diverse. And as a result of this diversity, there's a rise of varying cultural differences and ability levels among these students. In spite of this diversity, research suggests that post-secondary instructional beliefs and practices have not evolved in ways that effectively respond to diverse students' unique needs, like what applies in the K through 12 space. With K through 12, DI is seen as the approach to improve students' outcomes. Researching and DI, let me just clarify, DI stands for differentiated instruction. Moving forward, you might see me make reference to differentiated instruction by saying DI. I apologize. Research in higher education has also shown that differentiated instruction promotes individual student growth. So in an effort to ensure greater student achievement, individual institutions need to move away from what is dubbed the one-size-fits-all approach and utilize more of a differentiated approach. The background. It is well documented that the population of students who are pursuing higher education is increasingly diverse. Specifically, we have seen changes within the higher education population related to race, ethnicity, gender, economic class, and nationality. And an increase in the number of older learners is also becoming very common, mature students within the higher education space. With regards to students with disabilities, there has also been a dramatic rise in enrollment, where these students comprises 11.4% of undergraduates within higher education, 11.4% of undergraduate students within higher education. This suggests that there's a shift in the makeup of those who would traditionally have access to higher education. Despite this shift and the increased availability of higher education to historically underrepresented groups, there still remains a significant lack of adaptation in not only the educational practices, but also the cultural ones, designed to cater to the needs of newly enrolled students. While many attempts have been made in the K through 12 space to reduce the achievement gaps of students, there are very few legislations which address these shortcomings in higher education. Among some of these legislations for K through 12 include the Goals 2000, the Educate America Act of 2000, which sought to reform and improve the academic aspect of K through 12 with emphasis on reading and STEM instruction by the year 2000. The Every Student Succeeds Act was concerned with ensuring public schools providing a quality education for all. It gave states more of a say, if you will, in how schools account for student achievement. It took into account students who were disadvantaged. The other legislation, the No Child Left Behind Act, which many of us probably are familiar with, its purpose was to provide more education opportunities for students. It focused on students who were disadvantaged, such as those of poverty, those of color, special education students, as well as multi-language learner students. Due to the limited federal accountability that exists for student achievement in higher education, many institutions rely on GPA or graduation, rely on graduation and GPA to determine success, which may not be achievable due to individual and institutional factors. Similarly, when you compare this to K through 12, at present, there is no state or federal requirement for college instructors to be certified or demonstrate a level of teaching proficiency. Albeit there are standards for college instructors, for example, the Council for the Accreditation of Educator Preparation, ensuring the quality of teaching is paramount for students' academic achievement. Hence, it is therefore imperative that leaders within higher education prioritize pedagogy and expertise to ensure teaching quality across all contexts. The lack of comprehensive research on the implementation of differentiation in higher education, in particularly when you compare it to K through 12, to what obtains in K through 12 systems, is a concerning gap that must be addressed. The statement of the problem. Disparity in educational achievement exists in higher education, and as a result, measures have to be put in place to address this. The DI approach has shown improved student achievement among primary and secondary level students and can benefit students within higher education, despite its lack of prevalence as an effective instructional strategy that will promote greater student achievement. Purpose of the study. Why this study? The purpose of this qualitative phenomenological study was to explore college instructors' perception of the effects of differentiated instruction on student achievement in higher education. This study provides valuable insights into the approach of DI as it focuses on the experiences of multiple participants. It also considered the instructional strategies as well as the barriers faced by college instructors when applying DI to improve student achievement in higher education.
Yeah, could I have a two-piece chicken meal, please?
Two-piece?
Yeah.
Spicy?
Spicy.
Hi, Glendor. Sir Glendor. Glendor, you want to mute your microphone?
Okay. The following 6 research questions will guide the study. Research question 1, how do instructors in higher education define differentiated instruction? Research question 2, what have been the experiences, be it positive or negative, regarding the use of differentiated instruction at the higher education level? Research question 3, in what ways have the principles and applications of differentiated instruction influence students in higher education achievement toward course objectives? Research question 4, what are the current DI techniques, strategies that have been useful to instructors in higher education? Research question 5, how prevalent are professional development and training opportunities for applying DI for instructors in higher education? Research question 6, what barriers have college instructors faced in applying differentiated instruction? The study, the theoretical framework. The following 4 theories will form the frame of reference for this study. I will look at multiple intelligence theory as posited by Howard Gardner in 1983, the theory of social constructivism by Lev Vygotsky in 1968, brain-based learning theory, Eric Jensen, 1995-2000, as well as culturally relevant pedagogy, Gloria Ladson-Billings, 1992. I will explore these at length in chapters 2, the review of literature. This study is significant for many reasons. Findings of this study will provide insight into pedagogy in higher education, intending to promote student success in higher education. Bolstered by existing research, it will also contribute to the body of knowledge as to the effectiveness of differentiated instruction in higher education classrooms. It also holds significance in the role it will play in institutional reform and development that will be of benefit for all stakeholders. The implications of this research will extend beyond academia, as stakeholders within higher education systems stand to benefit from the results and recommendations, ultimately fostering a climate of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Limitations. It is important to note that the findings of this study will not be applicable to a wider population due to the limited number of college instructors who meet the study's criteria. Additionally, the sample size was small and data collection was reliant on self-reported information provided through remote interviews and surveys, which may introduce bias. The findings from this study were specific to the studied population and location and cannot be generalized to the broader national or global context. Delimitations. The study focused on colleges in the southern region of the United States. The DI approach was the only instructional approach that was considered in this study. And as well as the research was restricted only to the perceptions and lived experience of college instructors, as in those instructors who taught at other levels weren't considered for this study. The following key terms were defined and used throughout the study. In summary, Chapter 1 provided an introduction to the study by highlighting the main subheadings such as the background to the study, statement of the problem, purpose, significance of the study, research questions, the theoretical framework were explored, limitations, as well as the key terms. It further highlights that DI is a useful tool to promote student success. However, there is a need for more research to be carried out as it relates to differentiated instruction implementation in higher education and its overall impact on student achievement. Chapters 2, the literature review, or the review of literature. This chapter will cover various research topics on college instructors' perceptions of differentiated instruction and student achievement as gathered from experts, books, theses, dissertations, and other scholarly peer-reviewed articles and journals. From these topics on the screen, I will provide a synopsis of each, as well as the theoretical frameworks employed in this study. The first subtopic I will explore is the foundations and elements of DI. Tomlinson posits that differentiation consists of the efforts of teachers to respond to variance among learners in the classroom. She identified 4 elements of differentiated instruction, first being content, what the students need to learn, process, how the students will access the information to be learned, product, the methods used to demonstrate learning, For example, that would be a type of assessment, and the learning environment. The other subtopic that will be explored, that was explored rather, the educator's perspective of differentiated instruction as posited by Joseph et al. 2013. He posits that understanding how educators perceive differentiated instruction can explain why and if they resist implementing this approach. A study by Joseph also highlighted how educators perceive differentiated instructors. Educators stated that the utilization of differentiated instruction as a strategy can be highly beneficial. However, the approach can be time-consuming due to the need for meticulous planning. Student achievement in higher education, as posited by Grimes and Stevens, 2009. In providing evidence that the DI approach to instruction is instrumental in closing the achievement gap between students in higher education, a study done by Grimes indicated that students from varying ethnic and socioeconomic groups moved from the remedial band when DI approach was used. They posited that differentiated instruction did not only improve test scores for all students, but also increase their desire to want to do math. DI teaching strategies and procedures utilized in higher education, as posited by Santangelo and Tomlinson, 2009. A study they carried out revealed that strategies such as supplemental readings, tiered assignments, interest-based centers, and others supported reading comprehension. The study found that DI can be effective in higher education and allows students to acquire knowledge and understanding and better understanding the course content using the strategies outlined above. The other subtopic that will be explored, DI and professional development for educators. Burkett, 2013, posits in a study that he carried out that majority of the teachers expressed satisfaction with receiving professional development in differentiated instruction. Teachers stated that professional learning communities had also impacted their implementation of differentiated instruction. DI and empiricism, Hall et al. 2002. Current literature suggests that little research has been carried out to prove the effectiveness of differentiated instruction. As many experts see the approach as merely a collection of different philosophies and practices, they posit that the package lacks what they refer to as empirical validation. I will now explore the theoretical framework. The four theories that will guide the study, as indicated before, are multiple intelligence theory, as by Howard Gardner, theory of social constructivism, Lev Vygotsky, brain-based learning, Jensen, as well as cultural relevant pedagogy. In looking at multiple intelligence, Howard Gardner posits that 9 types of intelligence that can be used either as separate entities or a combination of 2 or more. Among these are linguistic, spatial, naturalistic, bodily kinesthetic, musical, and interpersonal intelligence. Different types of learners. He also posits that there are different types of learners. They exist through their varied learning styles, be it auditory, visual, tactile, or a combination of any of those 3. The theory provides the educator with the information needed to understand each student's strengths and weaknesses and catering to those weaknesses through what he calls personalized learning in order to gain success. The theory of social constructivism by Lev Vygotsky. This theory highlights the importance of active student engagement in the learning process, where knowledge is constructed through interactions with the environment. He also posits that no experiences are the same. Social interaction produces new, elaborate, advanced psychological processes that are not usually available when working in isolation. This theory also highlights what is called the zone of proximal development, which is defined as the distance between the actual development level and the level of potential development of a student. The ZPD, for short, can be linked to a student's readiness level in differentiated instruction, a major factor in deciding how and when to differentiate. So in other words, he's saying educators need to consider a student's zone of proximal development when planning for students. Brain-based learning theory, as posited by Jensen, suggests that each brain is uniquely organized and that students experience windows of opportunity for learning at different ages. At the core of brain-based learning is meaningful and useful information as the brain works to store these. Students will not be able to retrieve experiences their brain have stored and make meaning from that. Students will only be able to retrieve experiences. So they cannot retrieve what they did not experience, in other words. The notion is aligned to a major principle of differentiated instruction, which speaks to students participating and engaging in what is referred to as respectful and meaningful tasks. There are 11 principles of brain-based learning. Among these are student development benefits from an enriched home life and school environment, and as such, learning is continuous. And the final theory, culturally relevant pedagogy, CRP, as posited by Ladson-Billing, it's a theoretical model that prioritizes student success and cultural heritage while fostering critical perspectives. It consists of 3 elements, and these 3 elements are critical consciousness, which refers to the ability to identify, analyze, and solve real-world problems, especially those that result in what Ladson-Billing refers to as social inequalities. Cultural competence is the second one, which are skills that support students to affirm and appreciate their culture of origin while developing fluency in another culture. Student learning, the third, focuses on the intellectual growth and moral development of students, but also their ability to solve and reason. And that concludes the theoretical framework. I now present to you the summary. So chapter 2 explored literature pertaining to 7 subtopics of the review of literature. Additionally, it also supported the notion that instructors should consider students' learning, their culture, brain functioning, privilege, and readiness when planning instruction to better aid in catering to their individual needs in order to ensure student achievement. In this chapter, it also revealed the importance of training opportunities for instructors. In concluding, the chapter highlighted that some scholars posit that DI lacks what they refer to as empirical validity, hence more research is needed, especially in higher education, and how its relationship to positive student outcome. I will now explore chapter 3, and in this chapter, I will explore the research methods employed. I will also outline how the data was collected, the description of the participants, and how the data was analyzed. These areas outlined on the screen will be covered. The study utilized a qualitative approach as the information was guided by subjective perspectives and individual interpretation. This approach was useful as it revealed meaning through understanding and encouraged alternate perspectives. It involved me being actively involved in the inquiry process. A phenomenological research design was utilized in this study. Why phenomenological? Because it aligns with the research questions, goals of discovering more about the phenomena of DI, and as well as it allowed the participants to share their lived experience with the researcher. As a reminder, these are the research questions that guided the study. This qualitative study explored 6 research questions. And in order to gain insight into the college instructors' perception of DI and the achievement of college students, these questions were aligned to these 15 research items as presented in this table. Five college instructors made up the participant sample for the research. They came from 4 higher education institutions in the southern region of America. They had to have doctoral degrees, be it PhD or EDD. They had to have a work experience of 3 years instructing within a college setting. The participants could be male or female. I embarked on a purposive sampling, as well as another criteria was that they had to have knowledge of the principle of DI and some experience with its application. As the researcher, I had a number of roles. The first one being sending invitation emails to campus directors to gain access to the participants. From there, I was tasked with managing my biases as an educator, albeit not within the college space. Hence, I did not act as an expert. I used open-ended questions, both in the questionnaire and in the interviews that were conducted. I ensured the thorough review of all questionnaires through member check-in after submission by the participants. The instruments used in this study were questionnaires and semi-structured interviews. I took several steps in collecting the data after developing the interview questions. This figure here outlines the specific steps I took during the data collection phase. The first step, as you can see, campus directors were contacted via emails. From there, IRB approval was sent to each campus director by emails. Confirmations of the participants was the next step. I provided the participants with consent letters. Upon receiving, the participants signed the consents agreeing to the terms and conditions outlined in said letters. Myself and the participants through email mutually agreed to a date and time to schedule the interviews. Interviews were recorded and transcribed and then uploaded to the target software for data analysis. In carrying out the data analysis, the questionnaires were analyzed using the target software, where it captured the demographic data from the participants. In the in-depth interview was also, the target software was also used to code the data from the interview, as well as identify the development of the emerging themes from said interviews. Research quality. In order to improve the study's credibility, the following were carried out. Multiple peers for peer debriefing were utilized in this study. The instruments were piloted among 5 college instructors who were not a part of this study, which reaffirmed, or confirmed rather, the instrument, and that I could move forward with utilizing them in the study. Member check-in was done after the data was received. So each participant was called just to confirm their responses. Data was recorded and transcribed. The following ethical considerations were carried out. IRB approval was received. Password protected documents store the data electronically. So after I received the transcript from the interviews carried out, it was stored electronically for safekeeping, as well as to ensure, confidentiality. All participant data collection files were deleted upon the study's conclusion. Anonymity of participants were maintained. Participant identifiable information was omitted, and you'll see that in chapter 4 in me making reference to participant number 1, participant number 2, and so on. To summarize, in this chapter, the research design, along with the participant's profile, role of the researcher, instrument use, data collection and analysis procedures, ethical considerations were explored. The focus of this qualitative study was on 5 college instructors from 4 Southern American universities who had at least 3 years of experience implementing the DI approach at the higher education level. A phenomenological design was utilized, allowing these instructors to discuss their feelings, their attitudes, and knowledge of differentiated instruction through semi-structured, open-ended questionnaires and interviews via Zoom. The digital data obtained from the interviews and the questionnaires were entered into the target software where it was transcribed and ultimately coded. I will now move on to chapter 4, where I will explore the data analysis and results. This chapter comprises an introduction, data analysis procedures, participant demographics, emerging and overarching themes, findings for each research questions. The findings obtained from this analysis of the questionnaire interviews will be presented and discussed. Okay. It took approximately 2 weeks to obtain permission from all participants of the study. This diagram is a timeline of invitation of the participants. It provides somewhat of a detailed account of the process of soliciting the participants in 5 phases. Phase 1, this is where I email campus directors. Email 4 campus directors in phase 1. Phase 2, the email consent and questionnaire to participant 1 was sent. So after phase 1, where I sent four campus directors an email trying to solicit, participants for the study, only 1 participant responded from that first phase. Hence phase 2, I was able to schedule the interview with that 1 participant. Phase 3, I emailed 4 more participants, or 4 more campus directors rather, for participants. From that led to phase 4, where 4 participants responded, and I was able to schedule interviews for those 4 participants. So by now, collectively, I had 5 participants. Phase 5, I went ahead in trying to solicit more participants. I emailed 2 more campus directors. There's not a phase 6, so that suggests that no one responded. Hence, I was left with 5 participants, which according to Cresswell and Klenk, Cresswell 2013 and Klenk 2008, they recommend having 2 to 25 participants in a qualitative study. They felt like that's a reasonable amount, so a reasonable number rather of individuals to include in a study that would give you solid data. Hence, I was satisfied with the 5 participants that responded. Hence, I stopped there and moved on with the 5 participants. This table highlights the participants' the participants of the study identified by their pseudonyms with demographic information on their age, gender, ethnicity, years of institution and educational level, to maintain their confidentiality and the anonymity of each participant and their institutions. The actual names were omitted from the presented information. And I'll just run through each participant. So based on the data, I had 3 participants that fit the age category of 47 to 59 years. I had a collective, I had four females who took part in the study, 1 male. 2 participants were between the ages of 36 to 46. Most participants were white, albeit with the exception of 1. Instructors' experience ranged from 3 years to a maximum of 25 years. As it relates to the programs taught, most participants taught in the bachelor's program at the undergrad level, with the others teaching at the master's and doctoral level as well. 1 participant, he taught at all levels. And then there was 1 participant who taught the professional certificate level within the higher education space that she worked. This diagram here presents a visual representation of the data analysis procedures carried out as proposed by Mustakas, 1994. I'll talk about the steps briefly. The first step is to define the research questions to guide the analysis, which I did. Pilot the research instruments, which I did. Collect qualitative data from participants through questionnaires and interviews. Organize and categorize the transcribed data to generate codes. And from there, the identification and finalization and reviewing of common themes was carried out, and then the analysis was documented. After a review and analysis of the responses provided by the participants from the 15 interview queries, I was able to extract the relevant data, resulting in the identification and coding of 36 emerging themes via the target software, as outlined in this table. So this table shows the 36 themes that emerged from the 6 research questions, or from the 15 interview queries. From the 36 emerging themes, I was able to categorize based on commonality found in each participant's responses, and from there, 6 overarching themes were generated. As you can see, these overarching themes related to each research question, which encompasses the participants' understanding and experience with DI, strategies used, opportunities for training, professional development, and barriers to proper implementation of DI. These themes aligned to each research inquiry are depicted in this figure. So research question 1, the overarching theme that emerged was tailoring instruction to students. Research question 2, better quality of work from students. Research question 3, highlighted improved grades as the overarching theme. Research question 4, grouping students. Research question 5, support. And research question 6, the overarching theme that emerged was time consuming. I will now explore the research findings. This first research question sought to define DI and gauge participants' perception of its main components. The overarching theme was tailoring instruction to students' needs. The participant acknowledged that tailoring instruction involved appealing to students' interests, learning style, culture, as well as making adjustments to the curriculum, the learning environment, strategies, and assessments. They perceived all of that to be definitions of DI. While their responses varied, it showed that they had a grasp of some of the elements that are necessary to carry out with respect to the definition of DI. However, so we had varied response. Tomlinson 1999 lists the elements of DI as content, process, product, and the learning environment. The term used by all the participants fell within at least one of those elements as posited by Tomlinson. But so while the terms fell in the category that Tomlinson, the main proponent of DI, suggests, it did not provide, their response, it did not provide an overall definition of what DI would be. They gave aspects of it. All right, research question 2. This second research question focused on participants' experiences using DI during instruction. It yielded the overarching theme of better quality of work from students. 3 participants indicated that this was a positive experience for them. Most participants share that with the application of DI, students were better able to provide more elaborate and richer discussions to topics or concepts during classes or on a discussion board, which ultimately resulted in better results. One participant shared that DI was not fully feasible in higher education, at least not for her. And it made her experience negative as it couldn't be used consistently across, all of her classes that she taught. So most participants found it to be a positive experience because overall it produces, better results. But it does have it, negative to it, which is that it's really not, according to some participants, it's not as feasible in higher education as it probably would be in the K through 12 space. All right. This third research inquiry centered on how participants perceived the application of DI on student achievement. And it generated the overarching theme of improved grades. While all participants indicated that appealing to students' interests was important regarding the application of DI and its principles and its influence on course objectives, they all listed the types of assessment, infusing elements of a student's culture, useful strategies, learning style, among others, as factors that contribute to student achievement. Each of these responses fell under the overarching theme of improving grades. 2 participants shared that despite the time-consuming nature of DI, when implemented properly, it does allow for improved grades. The findings, these findings are consistent with all the theories that guided this study. So if Ladson-Billing, who speaks about culture, infusing students' culture as it will lead to improved grades, is one theory that guides that supports that. Brain-based learning, which talks about using students' experiences because the brain picks up on those experiences. And when students are allowed to use those experiences, it will result in greater improved grades. Vygotsky speaks about, that social element that students require in order to be successful. These findings are consistent with that, as well as Howard Gardner speaks about learning styles and appealing to students' interests, etc. Those also underscores the consistency of the findings, as well as the utterances of Tomlinson and Santangelo, 2009. that posits all of these will lead to improved student achievement, or better grades rather. Research question 4 sought to understand participants' experiences with DI techniques and strategies and their effectiveness in higher education. From this inquiry, the overarching theme of grouping students was generated. During the data collection, it was mentioned by most participants that grouping students provide an opportunity for instructors to assign members based on several factors. These factors such as ability, interests, learning style, culture, diversity, and peer model. All participants alluded to the flexibility that came with grouping students. Tomlinson and Santangelo identified flexible grouping as an effective strategy of DI. So again, the findings from the research, the literature review, or chapter 2, does support the findings from chapter 4 as it relates to grouping students. Research question 5. This 5th question examined professional development and training opportunities for differentiated instruction in higher education. It revealed the overarching theme of support. All participants share that support was crucial to successful implementation in higher education. Most participants shared that they had a lack of support from their administration or institutions, as well as in receiving professional development opportunities. The level of support varied among participants. With respect to 2 participants who received great support, they shared that they had access to resources and training, and their administration was supportive. It's interesting, as these 2 participants are avid DI supporters based on the interviews that I carried out. With respect to those who had limited support, one participant noted that without any support from her institution, she would not have found the time to go seek out professional development to make her more effective in applying DI. She expounded that she relied on her place of employment to provide the necessary or pertinent education and development for student achievement. Tomlinson, 2005, spoke to professional development being instrumental if DI is supposed to be implemented successful. The powers that be, administrators, school leaders, educational leaders, will need to put professional development in place, as without it, they run the risk of DI not necessarily working. Research question 6. From the 6th and final inquiry, aimed to identify barriers to applying DI, the overarching theme of time consuming was discovered. All participants indicated that the principle and its application took a lot of time and was a major barrier. They also shared that there was not enough planning time within their schedules for effective DI implementation. 2 participants shared that they had other responsibilities on campus that made it almost impossible to plan. 1 participant shared that the time would have to be carved out by administration for it to be feasible. 2 participants also shared in PD or administrative support contributes to the time-consuming nature, as you really can't plan when you don't really know the approach in order to plan. This theme is consistent with a study carried out by Joseph et al., where the teachers in that study shared that the planning for a DI was very time-consuming, albeit beneficial. In summarizing the research findings, we found that research question 1, tailoring instruction through the use of varying strategies and learning and teaching modalities are perceived definitions of differentiated instruction. Research question 2, Overall, DI is a positive experience, especially when students produce better quality of work. It becomes a negative experience when there aren't support and is not fully feasible in higher education. Research question 3, DI is time consuming and sometimes isn't applicable across all teaching areas, but when implemented properly, it does allow for improved grades. Research question 4, grouping is the most effective strategy or technique used. A variety of factors must be considered in grouping students for it to be effective. Research question 5, administrative and instructional support are lacking in higher education as it relates to the effective implementation of differentiated instruction. Research question number 6, the approach is time consuming. This, along with lack of planning time and administrative support, are barriers to effective implementation within higher education. In summarizing this chapter, qualitative data was gathered, analyzed, reported, and categorized from participants' responses obtained from the questionnaires and interviews carried out. The major themes were described and explained. The findings were explained based on each aligned research question and were also confirmed or rejected on information from the literature review or the review of literature. Chapter 5. In this chapter, I will provide the conclusion followed by the implications of the study, then conclude with the recommendations. The findings reveal that when DI principles are applied, student achievement increases. College instructors receive inadequate institutional and administrative support. College instructors implement some aspects of DI, so the findings shows that college instructors are mindful and they're implementing some aspects of differentiated instruction. However, full knowledge and application of DI isn't evident as proposed by scholars such as Tomlinson, 1999. College instructors are still committed to implementing practical DI principles within higher education classroom. This is evident in them carrying out some aspect, while not all aspect. We saw where they were carrying out some aspect of differentiating instruction in order to have greater student achievement. Participants of the study identified what is needed for effective differentiated instruction in higher education. Based on the findings of the study, I developed the Steele's differentiated instruction model for higher education. This model, as you can see, embodies 5 elements, which when employed will result in better outcomes, better student outcomes. The model as shown here is recommended that each element is to be carried out in conjunction of each other. So the model here, based on the findings suggest that for us to have for college instructors to have better student outcome, all these factors need to work in tandem together. It cannot be that we have administrative support, but there's no professional development. Hence, my recommendation from this model is that each element to be carried out in conjunction of each other. However, in the order as presented, because administrative support will lead to professional development. Everything emanates from administrative support. Once you get the professional development as an educator, you would better be able to plan for your students. You'd better be able to tailor instruction. You'd better be able to group students. So the recommendation is not that, one element is present and the other isn't, because then it lacks consistency and it runs the risk of student not having positive outcome. Implications of the findings. The study found that when college instructors tailor their instruction to students' needs using a DI approach, there is greater student achievement. When college instructors receive administrative and instructional support, such as professional development and training opportunities, they will be more confident and less resistant to applying DI within their classroom. Burkett, 2013, his data suggests the same, that once they'll become more confident the more they are exposed to utilizing the approach through professional development. College instructors need more planning time to prepare and apply the differentiated approach within higher education on a more consistent basis. DI produces an overall better student outcome for all students in a diverse environment, such as higher education, when all factors are considered and used collectively. The recommendations, I am recommending that there be the adoption of a standard definition and overall understanding of the term DI in higher education, as the findings suggest that college instructors had varying perception of the definition of DI. Educational leaders should provide opportunities for regular professional development. Instructors in higher education should utilize grouping and student choice as much as possible. The findings also reveal that those are effective strategies that leads to better students' outcome. Educational leaders should provide college instructors with the necessary resource and support to implement differentiated instruction. And as it relates to future research, it should be conducted with college instructors in additional institutions in other parts of the country, as the data from this particular study cannot necessarily be generalized to other areas within the country or even outside of the country. And with that, I conclude. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your time. And these are my references. I'll turn it back over to Dr. Pierre.
Okay, thank you. Great job, if I must say so myself, Donanisha. I'm going to just go right into the question and answer phase. And unfortunately, we've lost Dr. Jackson because she had a meeting. She's a very busy administrator at the high school. So I'm going to call on Dr. Margaret and Dr. Brown, whoever would like to go first, if you have any questions. And Donanisha, you might want to close out your sharing. Okay. Dr. Marguerite?
Yes. Oh, excuse me. Yes, I'm here. Well, congratulations, Donna Nisha. I see people call you Donna Nisha. I usually call you only Donna, so.
That's fine. That works too.
Yeah. Well, first of all, what can I say? Congratulations on an excellent presentation. I really enjoyed it. And also congratulations on reaching this. This is a pivotal moment, right, in your journey. Absolutely. Now, of course, I'm particularly thrilled that you are exploring this important topic. As I recall in our conversations we have had throughout this journey, this is a topic that is not fully explored, and I'm so happy that you are taking this on, and you are doing a great job. Let's see if I have any questions. One question or maybe two. One question I have about the professional development. Obviously, we are aware that's lacking, and some of the points you made, why that is lacking in the professional development, and also the barriers, is lack of administrative support, right? Yeah, which probably no one is surprised, or maybe it is, I don't know. But I am interested in, I'm intrigued to know, how are you going to approach this issue?
I think this very study is a start, embarking on this study, so that we can get it where it needs to go, where the evidence is, in black and white. So I think this is a start, but this is a topic that is near and dear to me. So it is my intention, I don't know how yet, but it's my intention to make it be known that the literature is there that supports that differentiated instruction can be valuable within higher education. And as such, these are the factors that are missing. So through my model, I'm hoping I can, I don't know, get it out there, get it, out in the open. I plan to write articles, so maybe that will be the starting point. But just to answer your question, this is the start of getting the information out there and to see where it leads, because it does need to be, given the landscape, given the fact that it's the diversity, it's not gonna change, it's gonna get more diverse. So something needs to be done, and I'm one of those persons who will make sure it get done, even if it's just in my little area here in Southern America.
Yeah, I have no question about it that you'll get it done, Donna. That's for sure. That's for sure. And my other question, which I'm also very intrigued, is the sample size, right? Because you have 5 participants, I believe, right?
Right.
And they provided valuable research. There's no question about that. I thought your instrument was well done. I'm curious to know about the potential of broader generalization. How do you think about transferability of the results to a broader generalization of your research?
Well, I did state that that was a limitation to the study, that it's generalized, it can't be generalized to the general area outside of the southern region of America, because obviously the South is different from the North. However, in regards to the sample size, I think 5 was a valid number, as Cresswell 2013 suggests, as well as Klenk. They gave a broad figure of anywhere between 2 and 25 participants is acceptable and should provide reasonable data. So I was confident enough to stick with the 5 based on their recommendations and their findings of its effectiveness. But yes, to answer to your point, it's not generalizable outside of the scope of Southern America and college instructors.
Yeah. The reason I ask is because most likely you will have conversations around this topic once you get out there, right? People will be curious to know. Yeah. So I just want you to be prepared.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, when these opportunities will, because, I think of them as opportunities, right? So when the opportunity arrives, you must be ready to take it on, right?
Yes, and we've had discussions about that. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And my last remark here is, once again, congratulations on your journey this far. And I know that this is a personal achievement for you. You have indicated that in your introduction. But you are also an inspiration to people around you, especially your community and people, near and far. So once again, and also I noticed some names, your cohort is here supporting you, which I love that. Because it's so important, right? Support, it's so important. So you have your tribe with you here. You can't go wrong with that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Couldn't do it without them.
Believe me, I think I know what you're talking about. So once again, thank you so much. I want to thank your committee chair, Dr. Pierre. She did a wonderful job guiding you to success. I want to thank everyone involved in your journey, and I cannot wait to see, you know, the end remarks, the graduation. So congratulations, Donna. Well done.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Val.
You're welcome.
Okay, Dr. Brown. Are you with us?
Oh, yes, I am. Sorry for, I am, let me see if I can come on camera. I'm in transit, so I'm trying to make the best of it.
Oh, boy.
All right. All right, Donna, excellent work. I'm going to I have 3 questions. And the first 2, I think, just for your further reflection, with the chair's permission, I'm really not requiring you to fashion responses to those right now, but I think it's good that we mention them for the further work towards the further work that you're doing. So the first one is, how do you plan to respond to what is a persistent perennial concern that differentiated instruction lacks empirical validity? How do you plan to respond to that going forward? You mentioned it in the presentation. I'm sure conferences you're going to get that kind of question in, because the positivists we have to live with as social scientists are always of the view, and going to be of the view, that this is not grounded in, again, you concluded your sharing just now with my colleague, Professor, that this is not a generalizable notion.
Mm-hmm.
And the criticism is always going to be because it lacks, and pretty much anything that is qualitative in nature, there's a misunderstanding that once it's not generalizable, it's not good science. I beg to differ. But just think about, again, I'm not asking you to come up with a response. How do you plan to respond to that concern going forward? Good. The second one is DI discipline-centric? So is DIDC, if you wish to phrase that, own it? Meaning, is it applicable across all disciplines, the science, the arts, if you will? So think about that, man. Is it applicable? Or is it discipline-centric, or is it applicable across all disciplines? Think about that one. The one that I want you to respond to, though, is who have you become as a result of this doctoral journey that you're now concluding?
I think the question is, who have I not become? Man, this journey has been one that has really challenged my mental capacity, for one. Even up until the very, opening this computer to do this presentation, I have been so up and down. Getting to this point has been everything. But I think I have become a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? I've become a little bit more philosophical, if you will. I tend to look at things a little bit different, several different perspectives, rather than kind of, shut things down before. I think collecting the literature and seeing the varying perspective, just even by the very questions that you've just posed, realizing that there are several sides to this, several sides to our research, several perspectives to consider. I would say I have become a little bit more opened, if you will, opened to knowing that you can't really speak without the evidence, knowing that the evidence sets the basis for everything. So I would say in that regard, I've definitely become more knowledgeable just from doing this research, more conscious of what I put out there, saying something without having those information to back it up or validate what I'm saying. So I will definitely say I've become, I thought I was a researcher before, but I think going forward, this has definitely, you know, opened my eyes to what makes a researcher, what makes an effective researcher, the discourses that my colleagues and I have had certainly has been very valuable to this process. And I feel like I've gained some sort of, the words are evading me right now, but I just feel like I've become a little bit more wholesome where in terms of academia. I feel confident enough to go out and write an article, challenge the status quo, challenge the positives, as you mentioned, and just feel confident enough to go out there and embark on the research and put my 2 cents out there, and add to the body of literature that is already out there.
Excellent. And that is an indication. The response, there is much more that I am looking for when I ask you that question. And one of that is, are you able to better make the road while walking? And this is a good indication. Excellent run, Donna. If I am to compare when you initiated where you are, I can say for sure you have grown with the process. The final presentation, the defense for me, I'm always mindful that you're only working for 3 credits right now because you're in seminar 5. So having completed the proposal phase, I'm comfortable and I'm really impressed with the level of confidence you brought to the process. It's excellent research. I will agree with the colleague members on the committee. So I was very impressed when you did the proposal, and I said I would look to see how it culminates with the closing out 2 chapters. I am equally impressed. Thanks much, and I am happy to have been a part of this process. Thanks so much, and congratulations. I'll save the usage of the title for the committee chair to be the first to put forward. So with that, Chair, I'm going to kick it back to you. Excellent.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. Thank you.
Okay, so Dr. Brown knew that I was going to call on him to do that, so he beat me to it. And I just want to throw in one question since we lost Dr. Jackson, and that is, you know, it was mentioned that you are inspirational. You've shown that. And as far as your fellow cohort members are concerned, who might be right behind you with presenting their final research, what advice would you give them?
Oh, what advice? Stay the course. Stay the course, because sometimes it will definitely challenge you. Just different things, life, get thrown at you. Life doesn't know that you're embarking on this journey, and it gets thrown at you when you don't expect it. But you just have to remember your whys, why you did this. Yeah, just stay the course and ask for help. I think for us, or a little collective, that really helped, having the capacity to call someone to kind of, throw it out there, brainstorm together to kind of, because this is by no means a single effort. Yes, the research itself, but the process to the research was a collective effort of friends, family, people who are your village. You really can't really produce something of value without, those support. And I think for me, stay the course, no matter what, 10 toes down, stay the course. I think at this point, it's the easiest to throw in the towel, but stay the course. That would be my advice.
And I will add a saying from Nelson Mandela, who said, "It always seems impossible until it is done." Okay, so keep that in mind as well. I'm going to ask the committee members what their consensus is, if there is a consensus regarding the outcome of this presentation. How many of you, I think you know the process, so should I explain the process, Dr. Marguerite?
Personally, no, I don't think you need to explain anything.
Okay, so do we need to confer, or do we have a consensus regarding the outcome? And that's to Dr. Brown and Dr. Marguerite.
Right, it's the three of us on, correct?
Yes, I will be speaking with Dr. Jackson later. She had an important meeting.
Okay, well, yep. For me, I really have no reason to go into a private session.
Okay.
The questions again, and I was very deliberate. There are two questions I think that are going to be important for the candidate to reflect on, entering into the real world beyond the confines of being a student in a BSU program. And I wanted to close out with a personal reflection. So there is nothing that I need to probe further in a private session. So that's my vote. It becomes a decision for you, Chair, and Dr. Marguerite to decide.
Okay. And Dr. Marguerite?
Yes, I have no remarks. I think she did a phenomenal job. She covered what she needed to do with clarity and enthusiasm. And I echo Dr. Brown. We are moving on.
Okay. And so with that, I would like to introduce to everyone Dr. Donanisha Steele. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. And this is a time when I would like anyone in the audience to feel free to wish Donanisha well or say anything that you'd like to say.
Let me be the first to go. We are going to fight to be first. So I'm gonna jump in because she called my name indirectly. I am proud to say I am one of her accountable partners, and I must say congratulations, Dr. Steele. I know I'm in good company because my two accountable partners are doctors already, and I am right behind you, so I know I'm in good company. I just want to say you did a good job, and I am proud, and I'm very happy to work with you. For the last 2 years, we have been at BSU, and I know you're going to do good, and I am very happy to have been a part of the journey with you. So congratulations.
Thanks, Glendor.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and jump in. Congratulations, Donna. Tears are in my eyes. I'm so happy for you. I don't know if you've ever told anyone, but I was the one who called Donna and I said, listen, I have met this gentleman named Dr. Brown, and he's looking for people to get in this course. And I know that you are a steadfast person who is diligent and wants something out of life. And here we are, almost 3 years later. I couldn't be any more happy for you. Congratulations, Dr. Steele. You've done well. You've stayed the course. Interesting research topic. I'll definitely be referring you to some of my colleagues in the special education space and looking forward to the impact that you will create and generate through your well-researched topic. Congratulations again.
Thanks, Sally. Dr. Great.
I certainly will not take up such a long time. Dr. Steele, congratulations. As Glendor would have said, one of your accountability partner, we are just excited that you're able to complete this journey. We know what the sleepless nights and the long weekends are all about, and the commitment to setting the priorities and the timelines to deliver. And you have kept to those, you have kept the focus, and you persevered. Congratulations on this achievement. Welcome to the ranks. And I look forward to our celebration. One more down, one more to go. Thank you so very much. Congrats.
Dr. Lewin.
Do we have someone next?
I'll go.
Okay.
I'm
Okay,
here
Ms.
with
Osborne.
Miss Sheila, who's one of the teachers next door, and I am her instructional assistant.
Okay.
And I just want to say congratulations, Donna. And I'm so honored to work with you and for you to share your passion with me and with all of the teachers and the kids. And I could not be more proud of anybody than I am you right now.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Steele, for everything you do. Wonderful team lead you are, and I'm so glad and happy to work with you. And congratulations, very, very, very happy. You deserve it.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So
Don't make
nice.
me cry, man.
That's great.
Dr. Donanisha Steele, allow me to say congratulations. I know the journey has been one you mentioned up and down, and even this morning, just to say, you know, stay the course. You've stayed the course. I've always said you're one of the smartest persons I know, and you've proven it again. Congratulations. I know how much this means to you. I know how much it means to your family, and for everything that you continue to do professionally. I think this is just another stepping stone for you, and really, congratulations. You truly deserve it, and I'm proud of you and proud to know you, and well done.
Thanks, Kim. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Can I go?
Oh,
I
sure.
apologize. Hello, everyone. I'm sorry I cannot be on camera, but
Mhm.
Dr. Steele, I am extremely proud of your progress. You are such an inspiration to many persons, many that you don't even know about. I continue to speak highly of you. I know the value that you have. I know the impact that you have made on many persons' lives, and I know that you will continue to be such a force to be reckoned with anyone who comes into your presence. I am extremely proud of your progress. Like, I can't even find the words to really express how I'm feeling right now, and I certainly look forward to the work that you will be putting forward.
Thank
Thanks.
Okay.
you.
I think with that said, you know, I do agree with the last person. You are a force to be reckoned with. I witnessed that myself. And I just want to say that I'm very proud of you. And it was definitely a pleasure working with you over the past, what, two years maybe? Okay. All right. And with that said, I hate to just close out so quickly, you know, wish we could have a virtual party, but
I'm at work.
Okay. Okay. But thank you. You know, we will be speaking. I just want to say to Dr. Marguerite and Dr. Brown, thank you once again. And Dr. Brown, the reason why I asked you to congratulate some students, because I know you're responsible for them actually being in space. So I want to thank you again. And I want to tell the two members that I will be submitting an outcomes form. So please look for that, because this is the last week that before the deadline. Friday is the deadline. So please look for the outcomes form. It's a DocuSign that you will have to sign off on, so that she will not, you know, not miss the deadline. Okay. And with that said, I'm gonna thank you all once again, and congratulations again, Dr. Steele.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. I'm lost for words right now, so I'll reach out to each of you individually. Thank you. This is just so surreal right now. Thank you.
Well, if help, Donna, I just sent you Dr. Steele. I need to use the title very early as well. I just sent you down memory lane where you were. That's when you were just getting started and fighting to get into the same group as Dr. Sally.
Yes.
I do keep records of everything that happened at the initial phase.
I see that. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Dr.
You can stay on for a second because I need to touch base with you on another matter.
Okay, is that, you were talking to me, it clipped
Yes,
off?
if you can
Okay,
stop for a second, I need to touch base with you regarding another matter.
okay, that's
All right.
fine.
Buddy.
All right, I'm trying to stop the recording. Let's see. Okay.